Hey y'all, this is old Jesse. Today I'm doing Proverbs chapter 1 verses 30 to 33. And this is the end of the wisdom allegory. And it's, concludes the whole thought process and states exactly what's going to happen to those that don't listen. And it's not kind, but that's the way that God made the world. And, stupidity causes problems, and foolishness causes problems. Biblically, simplicity is somebody that just don't learn. You can't tell them nothing, and they have no knowledge, and don't listen, and they're dumb, they're stupid. There's no nice way to say that. And then foolishness is a person that no matter how much exposure to knowledge and to God, chooses to make bad decisions and rejects the teachings of God. So, I'm going to go ahead and read verse 30 to 33 in that context. And that was just a little reminder of previous discussions, If I said something slightly different before, it's because, I probably didn't add it, or I forgot to say something or whatever, and I'm not going to worry about it too much. They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso heareth or hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, shall be quiet from fear of evil. Okay, now consider that, with wisdom and with understanding and with a listening ear and an obedient ear and thought process, you dwell safely. You're in you're in God's good grace, and you're in the spirit of wisdom, and that protects you from bad things, right? So consider that, when you want to make a bad decision, because our human chaos, sin nature sometimes wants that, right? Now think about this. If you despise good counsel, how in the world are you going to make a good decision? It might seem like a good decision, and then it's going to bite you in the butt, right? So what does it mean to eat of the fruit of their own way? You think about that, typically when I think way, I think cow's milk, right? But that's not what we're talking about. The fruit of their way is okay, folks that are evil and wicked and punishing, that even transcends to their food. So do you want to eat tortured animals? Do you want to eat animals that are killed and the blood's not drained out of it? Are you a person that's a devourer of life, even to the point that your food is still alive when you eat it? Are you the kind of person that's going to eat it alive and then contract the living parasites and bacteria in it? That's disgusting, and then it gets even worse, if you consider cannibalism and what they do, and all the, the disease vectors and parasite vectors, and you can't cook that out of it. You know, like it's not gonna just come out of that, and it goes right into your body and destroys you from within. So like the worst, and the thing you have to realize is biblical wisdom is written for all time, for all circumstances, not just a polite society. Okay, this is wisdom from a dark place that knows what happens. And so like, all right, consider that, because what you do is going to hurt you. You know? And what does it mean by to be filled with their own devices, right? Well, you know, those that turn away from wisdom, well, what do lesbians do when they don't have a man? They fill themselves with devices, right? I mean, that's obvious. That would be the most obvious thing. But the other thing is like, you know, when you look at jail cells and drug smuggling, what do people do to get that stuff in there? Well, they fill themselves with devices that they've made to be able to smuggle items. And that's not food, you know? But the other thing is like, when you look at cultures that are destructive in nature, a lot of their food includes hallucinogenic drugs, and like you know, things that can get you severely intoxicated, or that can destroy your psyche, or things of a nature that aren't even like wholesomely edible, you know, like you know, petrified, like petrified flesh almost kind of stuff, or you know, like, you know, plants that have such a high medicinal value to counteract some of these other drugs that they're taking, that they almost have no nutritional value. Like that happens in like the Amazon rainforest kind of scenario in Africa. They have to, if you get certain levels of drug toxicity, you have to eat other things to counteract that. So it's a thing that's like you're eating the fruit of your way, of the way you walk in life. And like, you know, it may not cure everything. It may only alleviate symptoms, you know, right? And then to be filled with their own devices is like, all right, well, you know, like that can be literal, or it can be figurative. You know, like your household becomes filled with the apparatus to, you know, smoke marijuana, to, you know, like do crack cocaine, to, you know, whatever sex things that you get up to, and you know, instead of worship of God and having a Bible around, you're going to have, you know, like a bookshelf full of atheist teachings or agnostic teachings or what. So it changes everything that you're exposed to. Like all of your whole life is filled with difference, a difference that turns away from God, that turns away from wisdom, you know, like, and so consider that, because then when you go to seek wisdom, well, it's not going to be found in your household or in your bookshelves, or with what you're eating that's going to be helpful to you, or with whatever you're using for your internal body, because you're going to have these bad things laying around. And well, wisdom has to be continually sought in order for the results to be accessible. So if you remove the good things from your life, all that's left is things that can destroy you. And those habits are hard to get rid of in time of need. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. Well, it's very simple. You got a young child. A young child is the most easy example of simplicity. You tell them not to run out in the road, and they do it anyway, and they get ran over, right? Like, that's a bad thing. Don't do that. But a simple person doesn't listen. And a grown-up can be just as simple as that little child if they're not paying attention. So, like, that's obvious. Like, hey, stay away from danger. Don't hurt yourself. Don't burn yourself. Don't, like, those are simple, wise things that a simple person doesn't listen to. and it can get you killed. That it, like, don't associate with the bad. It can get you killed. Like, some things are so dangerous, it's better not to even talk about, right? But at some point, you have to teach other folks. There's dangerous folks out there. We have the dragon, 2 different dragons described in Revelation. The horns on each dragon represent a different religion. Those are religions that destroy humanity, that are cannibals, that are up to some Machiavellian evil crap. Like, as organizations, that's what they do, that's what they are. And if you dig deep and you look into old Europe, you're going to find a lot of religions like that, and they have continued to exist. They've almost died out. Like 10 of them almost died out, and 2 continued on and resurrected the other 10, right? Or like rebuilt the other 10. And so we live in an age where Christianity is not as potent as it used to be. And it's becoming in the wild child circles, like the folks that like to party and get up to foolishness and simplicity, and not listen to God, it's becoming popular to become like that. Okay? So, like, we're in a situation where, like, the beast's power has waned a little bit, and the beast is the Catholic system underneath Rome. That whole Trinitarian system, Trinitarian collegiate system, is the beast. Okay? And Rome is the great whore. The Bible plainly states that. And, like, and so, like, who's making all that popular, or made all that popular through the history? It was these dragon religions. Now, where do those dragon religions reside? That's an easy answer. In the monasteries, and in the nunneries, and in the wild places, and in the places that they crafted buildings for themselves. Okay. And some of it might be hidden in Freemasonry. Is what it is. That's the kind of thing where, like, any kind of secret society or thing that's deep within the religious clergy, Catholicism has always had problems with their clergy celebrating pagan rituals. From the very inception of Catholicism, that was a problem. And even during the time of the Crusades and afterwards, it didn't go away. It was still a problem. So that's something to think about. And now, like with the modern society, the way sodomy is, homosexuality is very prevalent in that religion. Okay? It's an accepted thing to be a homosexual in the Catholic clergy. So, or like a pedophile, that's common too. So, like, be aware that, like, the system that we're looking at is definitely whorish. Without a doubt. It's definitely riding a beast collegiate system that's hard to defeat for Unitarians and monotheists. For sure. Yeah, I fought with it. I can win my battles if I have to. And it's powered by something that is cruel and Machiavellian and, likes destroying human beings. So, but it's not supernatural. Like, all the stuff in prophecy is not supernatural. So, not in the sense that, like, they have any more power than any other human. God describes them that way because of the danger. Okay? That's why the choice of dragon, like, and typically when you look at biblical dragons, that's a crocodile. Okay, that's the old crocodile. And a crocodile hides and lurks in muddy water. You only see the tip of its nose sticking out when it's breathing, when it's doing something. And you could maybe never even see it before it gets you. And that's that's why those pagan religions that are represented by the horns are described like that, because they're in hiding. Every once in a while they come out in the sun and bask in the sunlight, and everybody kind of, oh, that's the thing, like, wow, I didn't know that was going on over there. And that's the archaeological evidence that comes up with like cannibalistic carvings on bones that they find in nunneries and stuff like that. That's what's hidden in the church, in the Catholic Church, right? So like, stay away from it. So that's the thing that, like, the prosperity of fools shall destroy them, right? So you get involved with dangerous things. You get warned, and the simple get warned. If you get up to dangerous things, well, bad things happen when you get involved with stuff like that. So consider that. And the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. That's really simple. All these folks that get a lot of money and don't know how to control it, well, they waste it on drugs, and they waste it on this and that. You see it in Hollywood all the time. There's a lot of fools in Hollywood. There's a lot of fools in politics, too, because they get up to hinky things, and get involved with stupid stuff, and they do self-destructive acts, and they turn away from God and think they're going to get away with it, and all it is a path to their own destruction. You go to destroy another human being. You go to take an innocent life. Guess what's going to happen to you? You think that your punishment is going to be forever ignored? No, not forever. It might be delayed, but it might not be delayed at all. It might be instant. And that's in the hand of Yahweh, within his power as to what he wants to do. You cannot bind Yahweh. It's impossible. So, the prosperity of fools shall destroy them, but whoso hearkeneth unto me, hearkeneth unto wisdom, shall dwell safely, shall be quiet from fear of evil. So, pay attention, stay away from bad things, learn what prophecy really is, because it matters. Like, we live in a time where it's like the evil in the world is only going to get darker until the day approaches and Jesus lands on the earth, and that's going to be the darkest day of all, in a very literal sense. And so the simplicity or the wisdom of the Bible says, hey, don't sin. Don't sin, right? And don't be evil. Because if you sin and you're evil, we're two prophecies from the return of Jesus, from the return of Jesus. Okay? I've tracked all this stuff. I've got charts. And that's it. We're two prophecies from Jesus. Okay? If you fool around and screw up and you become sinful and evil and wicked, you're gonna die. And it's not gonna be pretty. Okay? And like, we live in a time where, there's going to be a lot of folks get on the internet and they mock me. Yeah, they write a lot of stuff and mock me for my beliefs. And that's fine. Because, I don't really care that much. It's the time that I live in, and I understand that. However, watch what happens when they don't heed the warnings. Okay? Because I'm not stupid. Like, I understand the limitations of my arguments, my philosophy, my life. I've tried to hearken to wisdom my whole life, and I'm not a very good implementer of it, and I can admit that, okay? But I try, and that's all a human being can do, right? So consider that, and consider living a life unto God, because it's worthwhile. Because all this other stupid stuff that humans can get up to and that we can do, and that we're more or less free to do in these times, it's going to destroy humanity. Armageddon is no simple thing. Billions and billions of people are going to die, right? And so, like, we're looking at the sum total of humanity's evil that didn't hearken to wisdom shall not dwell in safety and shall have fear of evil. Okay? And what is evil in biblical definition? Evil can be typified in our personal perspective as sin or as destruction. But evil, typically, when you read it in the Bible, it means destruction. And, I haven't looked up that word in Hebrew for this passage, but I can tell you that both in this case apply to this. And so be careful. Be careful. Be watchful. Be smart about how you live. And no matter what somebody says to try to convince you to do something sinful or wicked or destructive to somebody else, tell them no. Okay? Tell them no. No, you may not. All right. Have a good one.